Well, good evening and welcome to the Caithness Amateur Dramatic Society. And tonight I'm going to do a Macallan taste comparison. I'm going to have a distillery bottled Macallan 12-year-old triple cask matured fine oak at 40% ABV. And for a comparison, we'll try Gordon and Macphail Speymalt from Macallan Distillery, 2005 distilled, bottled in 2019 at 43% ABV. I visited Macallan Distillery maybe 3 years ago, and I don't know if you've ever been, but it is an incredible experience. It's like going to visit a hobbit land when you drive up to the new distillery, and when you go in, it's like walking into something out of a James Bond movie. And they have a display which is probably about 2.5 stories high and probably about 100 meters long. And in that display, they have bottlings really from the earliest days right through in a glass display. I've had a few Macallans over the years. Macallan is one of the oldest licensed distilleries in Scotland, and it's known colloquially as the Rolls Royce among malts, and it is one of the best known single malt whisky brands worldwide. 1824 marks the beginning of the Macallan success story. Alexander Reid, a farmer and teacher, obtained a license to distill whisky and thereby founded the Macallan distillery. Presumably, whisky was already produced there before, like in other places in Scotland, but without a license. After Alexander Reid's death in 1848, Macallan changed owners several times until Roderick Kemp bought the distillery in 1892, marking the beginning of the Kemp family trust era. They expanded the distillery and led it to success under the new label Macallan Glenlivet. In 1968, the limited company, founded in 1963, went public to create new capital for investment and expansion. That step was successful, and the former supplier of malts for high quality blends became a renowned single malt brand. Macallan was bought by Highland Distillers in 1996, who in turn were taken over by the Edrington Group in 1999, with a 30% support from William Grant and Sons. Macallan is now integrated into the Robertson Trust, who owns the Edrington Group. Macallan has increased its production significantly over the past few years, reaching its maximum in 2017 with 15 million litres of alcohol, and around 10 million bottles sold in the previous year show that there is a great demand for these amounts of whisky. But that massive production capacity wasn't the end of the line for the Edrington Group, the owners of Macallan. They got the approval for the extension, which is a new distillery. In 2015, construction started on the giant premises of the distillery, and after its completion in 2017, the production capacity reached 14 million litres of alcohol per year and will rise to the #1 producer of malt whisky. Two mash tuns receive the malt and the water from on-site springs. For parts of the production, Macallan uses their own barley variety called Minstrel. It's cultivated on more than 40 farms in Scotland and North England on behalf of Macallan. 90 acres of the 390 acres of Macallan premises are used for growing this minstrel barley too. Macallan uses a total of 21 washbacks. Only 6 of them are made of wood and the rest of stainless steel. In July 2014, the last 3 of these washbacks were added. They have a capacity of 35,000 litres each. I'm just going to put my mic on. My wife got me this as a present to try and improve my presentation style. It does certainly have a better sound, I think. Just 2 minutes. Sorry about that. So, just to repeat, the fermentation, it has a total of 21 washbacks. Only 6 of them are made of wood, the rest of stainless steel. And in July 2014, the last 3 of these washbacks were added. They have a capacity of 35,000 litres each. Only few pot stills have become as famous as those of Macallan. The extraordinarily small spirit stills even made it onto a Scottish £10 note. Macallan operates 24 of these small spirit stills with a capacity of 3,900 litres each. They concentrate the alcohol that has been extracted in the first distillation in the 12 wash stills with a volume of 12,000 litres each. The small stills ensure that there's a lot of contact between the spirit and the copper, and that results in a very pure, smooth alcohol with a fruity, rich aroma. There's vast warehouse space on the Macallan premises. Recently they contained approximately 170,000 whisky casks. I suspect there's a lot more storage space than that now. More than half of them are Spanish sherry casks from European oak, but they also use ex-bourbon casks and sherry casks from American oak. And the wood management is paramount for Macallan. Nothing is left to chance to ensure the quality of the cask. Macallan already monitors the selection of the wood used for the initial storing of bourbon or sherry. They're in close contact with the coopers and winemakers in Spain who build the casks and fill them with sherry on behalf of Macallan. With these meticulously prepared casks, Macallan can manage their whisky portfolio and the different core whiskies. A large team of 25 employees deal with the maturing casks in Macallan's warehouses. With the current expansion, new warehouses have been built, so the large amounts of newly produced alcohol can also be stored. So, Macallan single malt is sought after by collectors, and all bottlings or limited special bottlings regularly achieve top prices at auctions. If Macallan releases a limited edition whisky for sale at the distillery, the queues of cars leading up to the distillery, starting the night before, are quite incredible. But not only collectors, also connoisseurs enjoy the fruity, aromatic Macallan whisky, and it regularly receives prestigious awards. But the success of Macallan as a single malt whisky is really relatively recent. It didn't start until the 1960s. Before that, it was a popular component in blends. It's thought of Macallan to be a classic sherry cask whisky, but more recently, more and more bourbon casks have been integrated. The, the classic 12-year-old and 18-year-old sherry oak whiskies are the most popular among Macallan fans, with the fine oak bottlings, which are vatted from sherry and bourbon casks. Uh, with doing that, Macallan some time ago left its classic distillery style, which is rich fruit aromas combined with heather honey and wood notes. For a few years, some time ago, Macallan dropped the age statements in its core range in Europe and defined the different bottlings by the colours that developed through differing cask management. These were non-age statement whiskies in the 1824 series called Macallan Gold, Amber, Sienna and Ruby, reflecting the colour character of the individual bottlings. It now produces several expressions in its core Sherry Oak series, the most generally available being the 12-year-old, although the 18-year-old is widely distributed, alongside a 10-year-old cask strength expression at 58% ABV. Expensive 25, 30 and 40-year-old versions can also be found. The typical Macallan offers a broad range of flavours: citrus and vanilla aromas, floral notes and oak, citrus, vanilla, dates, figs, oranges and vanilla, spicy notes of ginger and nutmeg, and a fine dry sweetness with oaky notes. So Macallan is one of the most popular and prominent single malts in the world, only lagging behind Glenfiddich and Glenlivet in terms of mass appeal. But while the two big Glens are mostly viewed as casual starter single malts that are a fine introduction to Scotch whisky, Macallan still has a reputation of ultimate luxury and quality. And that premium reputation is carefully cultivated by the distillery. But I find it hard to say the same about the quality anymore. Macallan used to stand for the ultimate sherry matured whisky. Even their entry level 10-year-old used to be unimpeachable. With the growing demand for single malt whisky, and Macallan in particular, I don't think the brand has been able to adhere to their own high standards. It's barely done damage to their reputation though. Only a small minority of dedicated whisky enthusiasts ruminate the loss of Macallan's excellence. I wonder how long it'll be before, if ever, this catches up with Macallan. But as long as old Macallan keeps selling for ridiculous prices at auction and is portrayed as the ultimate premium whisky in pop culture, that aura of brilliance will probably stay intact for a long time. Macallan's final range was introduced in 2004, and it must be a success considering how long it's been around. But when it launched, it was lamented by fans of the brand who expressed concern about the different direction, the use of bourbon casks. The final range never achieved the legendary status of earlier bottlings. So tonight I'm going to start with the Macallan 12-year-old triple cask matured fine oak 40%. This was launched in 2018, taking the place of the fine oak range. This is the entry level expression from the series. I've got a rather fancy box here. This was a limited edition box. A lovely bottle. I do like the shape of this bottle. You do get a feeling of something a bit more high market here. So this one was matured for 12 years and drawn from a combination of European sherry season casks, American sherry season casks, and American ex-bourbon casks. It doesn't tell you the quantity that is coming from each cask. Now we know this will be coloured, and we know it will be chill filtered. But yeah, a really sad thing, I think, when you're going for luxury. But it's a nice colour. 40% ABV. This isn't single cask. This is chill filtered, and the tears are very thin on this one. So on the nose, I get gingerbread, vanilla essence, and wafts of buttered oak, buttered toast, and clotted cream topped scones. It's a gentle sweet whiskey with some shy touches of barley and a whiff of porridge and honey. There are raisins too, but also oranges and peaches. And finally, a sprinkle of aniseed. It's mellow and restrained, but I have to say, it has a little complexity as well, with a balance of floral sweetness, maltiness and oak, with those slight notes of vanilla and toffee. It's malty with cake, oranges, honey and flowers. And a little bit spicy too, a hint of strawberry jam and some wet cardboard. It's a refreshing nose, but I hardly get a sign of sherry casks. We'll try them out. I get raisins, sultanas, and stem ginger, and citrus begins to develop on the palate with a touch of dark chocolate. I get soft spices and a subtle dried fruits, such as sultanas. The oak is present, but not too much. So peanut skins. It's pretty decent overall. Soft and rather light. Ginger, white pepper and vanilla. The pleasant cake of the nose continues to the palate, now accompanied by yellow raisins and apples. It does have that slightly soapy and cardboardy side too. On the finish, you get subtle cedar and honey. It's short to medium length, and there's not much new to discover. Vanilla, ginger, some citrus fruits, apples, and cake, and finally a bit of honey. But it's not too long, and it's a little dry. I'm going to try 4 drops of water in this. Will we get Scotch mist? Somehow I doubt it. And it's staying crystal clear. So with water, it's mildly spicy. Cinnamon, gently woody, caramel. It's not terribly fruity. It's very accessible, very soft, sweet malt, honey, oats with just a hint of orange marmalade and raisins, some almond paste, and again that cinnamon. We'll try them out. A little bit more bittersweet and woody, mildly spicy on cinnamon, cloves, and some aniseed. The fruit becomes more of a candied variety. Uh, the raisins shine above all else. And the finish is short to medium, comfortably spicy sweet. It's a round dry finish with a sweet and oaky flavour. So, Macallan, 12-year-old, 40% ABV, is perfectly drinkable and approachable, but it's not exactly at Rolls Royce level. Once upon a time, maybe, but not anymore. I think of this as a pleasant scotch in the restrained mode. Whiskey lovers looking for something bold won't like it, but those who prefer their sipping whiskey to be from a type that is mellow, sweet, floral, and subtle should be quite satisfied with this. I'm going to cleanse my palate. So, this is an indie bottling by Gordon Macphail, and it's from their Speymalt series. And on the bottle, you'll see it says Speymalt from Macallan Distillery, and the it's matured in the highest quality cask selected by Gordon Macphail. Uh, who were founded in 1895. I believe that Gordon Macphail have been getting Macallan from the distillery for a number of years, and but they're not allowed to call it Macallan They have to call it Speymalt from Macallan Distillery. But I do believe that when Macallan stocks run low, or in the past when Macallan stocks ran low, they would actually purchase the cask back from Gordon Macphail because they knew that they had taken such good care of them. So they do make them more affordable. I think this was about £75 for a bottle. So that's about a 14-year-old Macallan at 43%. But this one is non-coloured and unchill filtered. And it was matured in refill sherry hogsheads and refill sherry butts. So this should be going back to what Macallan was like back in the day. And it is a little darker than the last one. And this one has no colouring in it. I think it's quite nice packaging on the Macallan Speymalt. So you can see that this one is considerably darker than the previous whiskey. And it's got big tears. So I've had this bottle open for about 2 or 3 months. So it's been allowed to oxidise a little. I'm getting caramel, maple syrup, strawberry jam, red vermouth, and a hint of red licorice, cinnamon, and that caramel again, roasted almonds, more nuts, a bitter fruit tea, dark dried fruit, orange, wild berry jam, like clove and wood. It's delicate and fruity. You do get the sherry, the sultanas and the figs, and some runny honey behind the fruit, and a more of a vinous grape syrup over time, as well as some citrus. And you get a sort of white candy sweetness, like those pink mice sweeties, marshmallow, cranberry, and just in the background, a little bit of cooking gas. It's malty sweet, cream icing sweet, a Moorish dessert smorgasbord sweet, with a few hints of white coffee. But it's not saccharine sweet. It makes for a delicious dessert dram on the nose. Try them out. It's a little bittersweet and relatively flat. You get milk caramel, caramel cookie, overripe cherries, new spices, and dark pastry. So forest berry jam, caramel, dried fruit, nuts, cinnamon, orange, cocoa powder, and a sort of woodiness. Quite creamy. Spices dancing all over. The spices are quite dominant, but not aggressive. Peppery, cardamom, cloves, nutmeg, and the oak and fruit notes. going parallel, malty, butterscotch. Very soft on the delivery. Venice oak, alcoholic spice. A plain oaky delivery with some fullness and roundness. And the finish is dry, slightly waxy, slightly salty and slightly woody. Salted popcorn, mint honeycomb, tannin and salted caramel. It's a mid-short finish, malty, baking spices, chewy fruit gums, and some raisins lingering. A touch of tannin, bitterness, and menthol. I'm going to add 5 drops of water to this, and I do recommend keeping quite a bit back for the water. We get Scotch mist with this one. Now I get milk chocolate and sweetened cocoa, as in a sort of milky cocoa drink. Apricot, creme brulee, custard, orange peel, milk chocolate, and some caramel fudge. The alcohol is now wonderfully integrated, and the subtle oak in the background completes the overall picture. I'll try them out. It's like toasted sweet corn on the cob. Cocoa, again like a milky one, and truffle filling. It's soft and edgy, sweet and grassy, and it's got a chalky arrival. A little water is going a long way to promote this well-tempered, balanced, and Moorish, yet restrained, sherried raisined maltiness. Again, a touch grassy, but the malt is silky smooth and oily in the tongue, round and pleasing, without appearing bony. Pear peel, walnut, plum, coconut, and nice spiciness. And on the finish, caramelized onions, sliminess, and citrus peel, chocolate raisins, and slight bitterness. Not disturbing, very pleasant. There's something beguiling about this whiskey, an honest vulnerability without the need for a noticeable heavy handed finishing. And it's got a good whiskey price ratio given the distillery, £75 if you can get it. I very much recommend adding a few drops of water to this one. It reveals more aromas, flavours, and it becomes a simply wonderful whiskey. I have heard that Gordon Macphail are moving away from the purchasing of other distilleries' output now that their new distillery is up and running. They have been one of the best indie bottlers for a long time. Luckily, they will have lots of stocks in their vast warehouse space at Burrow Briggs in Elgin. and hopefully that stock will continue to keep us quenched for a while yet. Thank you for listening. Good evening.